What's up, SRO Nation? This is Tyler Griffith, West Coast manager and contributor for Standing Room Only magazine. Last year, I came across this explosive band out of Texas that hooked me instantly. Their music is honest, emotional, and meaningful, a rare combination of traits found in today's music. The band is called Nothing More, and they've quickly made a name for themselves within the hard rock community over the past couple of years. Last year saw their release of their self-titled album, Nothing More. Earlier this year, the band signed a deal with 11-7 Music and has since re-released one of the songs from the album. I got a chance to talk with lead vocalist Johnny Hawkins about the music and what it means to him. Johnny, how's it going, my friend?
It's going well. Going well, man. We're in the middle of nowhere right now, so hopefully it won't on us again.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah, I'm recording this interview. Is that cool?
Sure. Let me let everybody know so they're not doing anything crazy in the background. I just gonna record this interview. Just heads up. So.
Cool. So, yeah, before we get started, congratulations are in order. I know you just recently got married. So your life's pretty much had a 180 at this point, I'm guessing.
Yeah, man, it was, it's been kind of an overnight year, it feels like, because I've been touring with the guys for, over 5 years, or longer than that, actually, and it's always been a kind of slow, steady climb, and then this last year, it's just like you said, 180 turn.
So you've been touring with Nothing More for a while. So tell me a little bit how the band evolved, because this isn't the original lineup of the band, is it?
No, it's not. The original lineup was actually, I was on the drums. I met Mark, our guitar player, when I was 7th grade, and he was playing guitar and drums, and I met our bass player, Daniel, singing together. And right when I got out of high school, we started touring in an old Daniel's brand that was out in the field, and had like raccoons living in it. It was broken down, didn't have an engine, and Dan actually ended up rebuilding it, and we started touring. And we had different singers throughout the years, because I was just very comfortable behind the drums, and that was my thing. I had never sang ever at that point. And when I was a kid, I always had this memory. I tried out for choir and didn't make it. And I was in a class there was a small private school. I was in a class of like 10 people. And to not make it on choir in such a small group of people was a little disheartening. So I think from that point on, I always had the idea that, singing was just not in the cards for me. But as we went down the road, years and years of touring and kind of figuring out who we are musically, at some point, I decided to sing, and the guys supported me in it, and we gave it a shot, and now it is what it is today. Now that Paul, the drummer, he joined us about 3 years ago, and he's from New Orleans. But ever since he joined, it's been what it is now.
So what about this lineup kind of made it stick? Because with this kind of incarnation of Nothing More, you've got 2 albums, Few Not Fleeting, and then the self-titled. So what about this lineup made it stick and so special?
You're referring to when I started singing and that lineup changed? Like what made that stick?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it's a little bit hard for me to be objective just because, how if you create something or make something of your own, it's a little bit hard to look at it like everyone else is looking at it. But something definitely changed when we made the switch, and I honestly hope that singer it be awful. But I think the thing that carried me through, and throughout the years as I got better technically, one thing that did stick with people, and we could start building a fan base with that. Me and the guys just have a lot of passion. I think that's shown through. As me on vocals, I had a little bit more outlet to express that passion rather than behind the drums.
There you go. One of the things during your live show that you guys have a lot of passion for that actually you're not singing on, in the middle of every set I've seen you guys do, you have the bass rigged up to this rotating stand. And it blew me away the first time I saw it. So how did you guys come up with adding that to your show?
Dan, that's another. It's a long story. It was a big evolution. Honestly, it was not an overnight thing. But what happened was Daniel and Mark were actually. It was when we first started touring, or right before we first started touring. I was still in high school. They were working this like graveyard shift job at like UPS, and they were unloading boxes out of the belly of a jet, and they were also going to college at the same time. So they were just like zombies for a few months when they were working that job. And one night when they were delirious because they hadn't got sleep in the last month, really, they were in the belly of the jet, and they started talking about this idea of where they both play on the bass together at the same time. And they tried it out in rehearsal, and it was kind of neat. But when they did it, saw it, I was telling them, I was like, well, what if I come up and play on the bass while y'all are playing on it with drumsticks? And then over time, we thought, well, what if we put it on a stand? And we just built like a stationary stand. And then, another year or a few months or whatever it was, Daniel started learning how to weld, and he started building all these items for our stage show. And he decided to build a stand that was built out of metal, and he got the idea that he could spin it around because he's kind of an automotive mechanical mind in the band, and so that was kind of natural for him to think in that way. And so he got the idea and built it, and it blew our minds, and we just kind of started creating off of that.
It's definitely something that I have never seen before, so I'm glad that you guys keep that in your set. And then around your set, you've had you started playing a lot of the new tracks from the new album. So how's the reception been to the new songs off the self-titled album that came out last year?
It's been amazing. Honestly, it's really cool to see kind of the growth curve or the reaction from people album to album. Because when you play a live show, it's real obvious whether people are digging or not. And we've had shows where they are, we've had shows where they don't. Just like every band out there. But with a record, it's real interesting because it's this thing that you're not there to experience what somebody's listening to in their car or in their home and how it's reacting with people. The only way you know is when the people come out to the show and they're singing the lyrics, and you can feel it, on the stage coming from them. It's like connected to them. And with this record, I think it's gotten even further than the last one. So it's been a really cool evolution to kind of feel.
Yeah, the lyrics on the album definitely are very profound, and I know one of the songs, one of the first songs on the album, "This Is the Time," Ballast. You guys just signed with 11-7, and then you re-released this song under the new title. It was originally just Ballast, so why the name change?
Yeah. We put the name change just so people could find it. We actually didn't know that this song would be going to radio originally. And then when it all started happening and it's starting to get more and more spins, we just wanted to make sure that people could actually find it when they looked it up. But it's also a line in the chorus that we believe kind of sums up the feeling and kind of the point of that song. And Ballast is kind of more of our esoteric, a little bit deeper conceptual term that sums up the song. And so we didn't want to get rid of Ballast because that's kind of what that song is to us. That's what we named it originally. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that people could find it and enjoy it,
Yeah, I know the people I've shown the music to, they've really dug it. When can we expect to see the rest of the album on iTunes?
June 24th, the record's going to be released globally.
Cool deal.
And it'll all be up there.
So following This Is the Time, Ballast, the next track on the album, Christ Copyright, it's a little bit crazier, a little bit angrier, but there's a really profound message underneath. So what are you hoping your listeners take away from that track?
And honestly, I think with that one, it's really just I think I can answer this question so many different ways, so I get kind of stuck in between all these paths I could take. But I think, in general, we just want to challenge people to question, and that doubt is a virtue. When you question things, when you press on things that you know in life you grow up and you're told that there's certain things that you don't question, there's certain taboos that you just don't go near, in all aspects of life. And I think one to encourage people to question those things and say it's not wrong to do so. It's actually a good thing to question things because you learn more about life and yourself. It's only a positive thing. And the other thing is I think to shine a light on a lot of the dogma that is present within religion and politics, specifically in America, because I can't really speak for other countries because my experiences haven't led me there yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure there's a similar thing in other countries as well. But in America, we have kind of this weird cocktail of what I think just kind of a cocktail of dogma underlying a lot of stuff where it's basically, you know, whether it's a religious point of view where, you know, there's the stick behind you, there's the carrot in front of you, there's the heaven, and there's the hell. And even that in and of itself, like, it's okay to believe that if you do, you know, that exists or doesn't exist. But I think to push it on to people, and especially children, ideas like that, it is in many ways a harmful thing, because it's things people can't prove, yet they live and die by it. It's just funny.
Yeah, you talk about questioning and kind of, you know, being okay to question and think about things in a different kind of perspective. And I know on a couple of the tracks on the album, like Gyre and Pyre, you guys mix your music with the words and the recordings of Alan Watts, the English philosopher. So how's his work influenced the band?
Yeah, he is, you know, he's one of a few very influential philosophers that I think we've subscribed to in a lot of ways and learned from. He's not the only one, but he's the one that we've used the most. And kind of, he's really a good voice for a lot of the ideas that we've come to, I think, accept as our own in a lot of ways. But really, I found him a few years ago, and he just kind of revolutionized my way of thinking, because, and then I showed the guys, and they got real into him as well. But you know, we all grew up in the church and had a pretty strong religious foundation. And in a lot of ways, it was, you know, there was a lot of good things that came from that, and I'm very thankful for the experience. But at the same time, there was a lot of things that were very restrictive and inhibitive to being able to live like a full life. And ideas that were just kind of, I think, now I look back and are kind of wacky, but at one time were just vices, I think. And a lot of people that I know who are still in the church that I grew up with, you know, it's interesting. Some of them are more laid back, but there's a lot of them that, you know, haven't changed and haven't questioned a lot of things that they were just born with and told and indoctrinated with. And I think Alan Watts, he's not, what I liked about his thoughts was not that he wasn't trying to, and he even said this in one of his lectures very clearly, that he's not trying to sell anything, he's not trying to push anything on anyone, he's merely trying to present another perspective in which you can ponder yourself and test yourself to see if those things are in fact true. And I think that was the biggest thing we resonated with is you know, if something's true, there's nothing to fear. You don't have to force it down people's throats. You don't have to use fear tactics. It's true, you know? Mm-hmm. And it'll be there, and your life will reflect that it's true. And as simple as that, and there's no need to go and indoctrinate everyone and have a holy war.
Yeah, we've had enough of those, I think, over the course of history. Specifically, on a couple of the tracks, you use a lot of his quotes, and one of the ones that kept repeating that really stuck out to me was this quote: "What you do is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call here and now. You are something that the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. So what drew you guys to that quote specifically? Like, why repeat that quote in your music?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason that strung a chord with us is, as you go through life, you learn every day a new lesson. You gain new perspectives, and as we have late night drives together from city to city. Sometimes half delirious, and awake just full of coffee. We usually get into these really deep philosophical discussions about life, the universe, and why we're here. Just a lot of things I think most people ask. And I think one of the things that we discovered, and that quote was just a very good way to voice this thing that we had found, is that when you start boiling down everything in life, whether it's your own identity or the actions that you put out towards other people or towards yourself, the lines of division start to blur when you really look at things carefully and closely. And what I mean by that is, like in that quote, I watched another quote that said, it sounds kind of silly, but he said, if I am my foot, then I am the sun. And I know, like, on the face of it, it's kind of, silly sounding and dumb, but when you actually think about that, it poses a lot of questions, because if you cut my foot off, but I'm still me, well, then my foot, was that me or just a part of me? And same thing with the brain and the mind. And the more we're learning in the field of neuroscience and, neuropsychology and all kinds of realms of the brain and the mind, we're finding more and more that who we think we are. Like, for me, for example, Johnny Hawkins, this individual that has particular taste and likes and dislikes and a haircut and certain kinds of shoes. When you really get down to it, it's a changing thing, even though it appears to be very solid at every moment. It's kind of like, when you watch a film strip, you're in the movie theater, and really there's all these different pictures, and they're separated by these spaces, but when it goes fast, all you see are the pictures. You don't see the spaces in between. And in the same way, I think when you start looking at everything in life, which is very similar to that when you get down to kind of the atomic or molecular level, everything is like these film strips. So there's these ons and offs and these spaces, these waves, kind of like music. And so I'm getting real far down a rabbit trail, but I'll try to sum it up with basically, people's personalities, their identity, who they think they are. If you dig, whoever's listening out there, if you dig yourself and really think about it, the lines blur, and they're not really there. They're only there because I think they're biologically necessary for us to survive, to actually, see those lines, but they don't in fact exist. If that makes any sense. It's almost like lines on a football field. You're out of bounds by our rules, but there's no such thing as real out.
Yeah. It really sounds like, Alan Watts and these other guys, you guys, really subscribe to. It's really influenced you and kind of driven you guys. And it's got to be cool to see your music doing the same thing for other people. I know it's done a lot for me, especially over the past year. Your album's been incredibly important to me. And so for you, what songs off the album resonate with you the most, and why?
I think for each of us, it's a different song or a few songs.
What songs in the album for you personally resonate the most?
For me personally, I'd say Jenny and God Went North. Jenny is about my sister, and God Went North is about my mom, who had a long battle with cancer. And while she was fighting that battle, she was kind of holding on probably longer than she should have, to her own detriment, and a lot of just physical, just a lot of pain, because my sister Jenna was in a very bad spot. And I think as a mother, she didn't want to leave with Jenna in that place. The reason the song's called Jenny is it was very eerie, actually, the kind of string of events in life that led up to all that, because my mom had a sister named Jenny, and that's actually why she named Jenna Jenna. It was after her sister Jennifer. And her sister Jennifer actually went crazy after a few years after her dad died. They watched their dad die in front of them in a plane crash. He was actually a pilot. And, years passed, and Jenny ended up just checking out, basically. Her body's there, but her mind's been gone for, 30 years now. And my mom named my sister Jenna after her, I think kind of as what I would imagine in my mind as some form of kind of redemption or a rescuing, because she always talked about her sister Jenny and wishing that she could have saved her from whatever caused her mind to kind of go crazy. And my sister Jenna, when she came out in birth, she had the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, and they almost thought that they were going to lose her. My mom always thought since then that she maybe had some brain damage, or she was real worried about her at that time. And as time went on, Jenna just had gotten into some very rough things in life and was dealing with things that she didn't understand at the time. And so it was a very hard process to watch while my mom was trying to kind of save her, but she was losing strength every day. But it was, like anything, it all sounds like there's no happy ending, which in a lot of ways there isn't, but there's a lot that was learned from that experience. And if anything, I saw the power of a mother who would not give up for her child shine through that whole experience.
Well, I remember when I saw you guys in LA, one of the things I told you was, I don't know what you guys had to go through to make this record, but whatever you did, you guys came out on the other side with a very, very important record. And so I really thank you guys for taking the time to talk to me today. Your music, especially for me over the past year, has gotten me through some really, really tough times. And I'm excited to see what you guys do next. So I know you're busy today. You got a ton of interviews. But thanks for taking the time today to talk with us, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that means a lot to hear that it did that for you. That's why we do this, man. That's exactly why. So I appreciate that.
All right, man. Keep it up. And next time you're out in LA, I'll be sure to see you guys.
All right, man. Good talking with you, Tyler.
Take care. Drive safe.
All right, man.
That was Johnny with Nothing More. Be sure to catch them on tour this summer. They're hitting up a lot of the U.S. festivals, including Monster Energy Fort Rock in Jacksonville, Florida, and Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio. You can pick up the first track off the album, This Is the Time Ballast, on iTunes right now, and be sure to pick up the entire album when it releases on June 24th worldwide. As we sign off, take a listen to This Is the Time Ballast. For all of us here at Standing Room Only, this is Tyler Griffith.